See now, the word enacted from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 31 through 33 and 44 through 52.
Jesus put before them a parable. The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed into the field.
Hey, look at the new kid. Hey, what's the left of it? He was smallish and shrimp. Good things come in small packages.
Maybe if you're talking about diamonds, but mustard?
Just you wait.
It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches.
Isn't that a pretty little story?
I beg your pardon?
Weeds grow. No duh. Jesus should have seen the kudzu we got around here if he really wanted to tell a story about how weeds take over.
This isn't a story about how weeds take over.
Oh, please. Did you even read the verse?
Wait, I know, but it's an allegory. It's a story that represents what the kingdom of heaven is like. And, by extraction, what the church should be like.
I see. The kingdom of heaven is like a weed, therefore the church should give us allergies.
Now. There's always one in every congregation. Walk with me. Now, heaven, what is that?
Where God lives.
And the kingdom of heaven?
Well, I guess that would be the people are the subjects of God, who is king, the believers.
Good. Now, where the kingdom begins like this, a mustard seed, it is the smallest of all seeds.
Whoa.
Now, what would that mean to the kingdom of heaven? The way the kingdom of heaven starts, the population.
It doesn't have its own zip code.
Exactly.
And the churches, the provisional sign of the kingdom.
Well, I guess they'd be pretty small too.
But when it grows up, lots of God's creatures find shelter, home there.
Well, I guess there's the rub, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, most churches aren't for anyone but themselves.
That's because they're not grown up yet.
But the kingdom of heaven isn't like that.
The kingdom of heaven is about grown-up seeds, as it says in Ephesians 4, where all come to maturity to the measure of the full stature of Christ.
Exactly. Speaking the truth in love, we must grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ.
Oh.
Now you're getting it.
Let's do another.
Okay, Jesus told another parable. The kingdom of heaven,
Where God abides, including people who are subjects of God, who is king, by extension, the church.
that is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until it was all leavened.
Hello, John.
Bonjour, Julien. In all my travels, it struck me how, no matter where you go, the bread is served with every meal.
Yes, from pizza to the croissant to challah.
Matzah.
Yes, but matzah isn't leavened, is it?
No, Julien, no yeast.
Nothing very homey about that.
No.
No, but that isn't the case in this kitchen. Tell our viewers what we're making today.
Well, Julia, we are surprised at how few of our viewers don't have the least idea of what goes into the old-fashioned bread of life.
They're not talking about bread, are they?
No, they're not talking about bread. They're talking about the kingdom of heaven. So by extension, this bread would be...
What feeds us, nurtures us for living in the kingdom.
Right. So if you had 3 measures of flour without anything else...
Excuse me, that's our territory.
Right, so... sorry, continue.
Thank you.
without God's input.
I see.
But the kingdom of heaven is like yeast.
Ooh, the gathering of God's subjects.
By extension, the church are like a woman.
Does that mean God's a woman?
Irrelevant.
The gathering of God's subjects, by extension, the church, function together as a body, which takes and mixes into the ordinary what?
Yeast.
And what does yeast do?
Our territory.
Oh, sorry, go right ahead.
So, instead of having 3 measures of flour by itself, which would be quite like a mouthful of ground chalk.
We have also the measure of yeast, which is actually the living microorganism.
Yes, I think people are hesitant to eat snails.
Yes, and this microorganism yeast, it produces gas to rise the bread.
The kingdom of heaven is a living being which enlivens us and that which would otherwise be tasteless and lifeless without value.
And how does it do that?
How does it do it in the parable?
By mixing it up with non-yeast.
That's right. And what's the measurement ratio?
1 part life to 3 parts blah.
So all it takes is one believer to mix it up with a few folk, and he's going to catch and make them grow, change them into something wonderful and life-giving.
And never be able to be gotten out of their system once it's in it.
The kingdom of heaven is like this.
Cool.
Happy cooking!
Bon appetit!
All right. Let's see if you can figure this one out. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. And then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field.
The people of the kingdom sell everything they have to get God?
Not so fast. Listen, the kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden.
Oh. The people who make a kingdom are the treasure.
That's right.
And the one who finds and hides us, who joys in us and gives us all he has, that we may belong to him, is God.
Yes, God is someone who,
Wow.
yes.
Gave up everything, even his son, that we would be his.
Yes. Now here's the reciprocal arrangement. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant.
Boy, buy low, sell high.
A merchant in search of pearls.
Nah. No.
And on finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it.
Eureka! This is it. The biggest, finest, most beautiful pearl ever. I must have it. I will trade all I have for this exceptional jewel.
Do you think folk treat God like he's the most valuable thing ever?
Not so much.
Why? What's more valuable than them, that one pearl that is God?
Their stuff.
Their jobs,
What other people think of them?
Being right,
their leisure time, being fine,
Being famous.
getting ahead,
Making sure no one thinks you're too religious.
Well, they'll choose their own doom and gloom, because listen to what comes next. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught every kind of fish. When it was full, they drew it ashore and sat down and put the good into baskets and threw out the bad.
You stink. Your excuses stink.
You're too small. Small-minded.